Cooper Criswell deserves to be in the rotation, and that's where he should stay after helping the Red Sox to a big series win over the Houston Astros.
You are Locked On Red Sox, your daily Boston Red Sox podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello and welcome to Locked On Red Sox, your daily Boston Red Sox podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every single day. I'm your host, Gabby Hurlbut, former ESPN social media associate and current host of the Boston Balling podcast as well. And I am here to bring you the latest in all things Boston Red Sox, Monday through Friday, straight to your favorite podcast feed. And the best part is it is completely free. So you really have nothing to lose but to check it out because Locked On is your team every day. Today's episode is brought to you by Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Welcome to the show. A day after the Red Sox recorded a big series win against the Houston Astros, took 2 out of 3 after things were looking a little gloomy from the first game of the series in which the Red Sox lost in a heartbreaking walk-off fashion. And it was starting to feel like the narrative was going to be the Red Sox just can't beat the Houston Astros. But then they turned it around and won on Tuesday night and then won again on Wednesday. And this was a big road trip for the Red Sox that challenged them a lot. 4 games against the Orioles and 3 games against the Astros, 2 teams that are in playoff contention right now. And both teams that have played very competitive baseball over the course of the last couple months. And this Red Sox team went 4-3 on this road trip, a split with the Orioles in a series win against the Astros. And that's not an easy feat to do, especially with how much the Red Sox have been struggling lately since the All-Star break, particularly from a bullpen standpoint. And the bullpen was really one of the strengths of this Red Sox team over the last couple of days, and I'm going to be talking about them a little bit later on the show. But Jarren Duran just makes an impact in every single game for this Boston Red Sox team, and it's honestly really cool to watch him play. I have thoroughly enjoyed watching him in every single game he's in. Through 125 team games, he has 153 hits, 68 extra base hits, and 31 stolen bases. He is the only Red Sox player ever with 30-plus steals, 65-plus extra base hits, and 150-plus hits through 125 games. The last players in baseball to do that were Alfonso Soriano in 2002, Alex Rodriguez in 1998, and Willie Mays in 1957. So talk about elite company for Jarren Duran. He has always been somebody who just continues to contribute every single day for this team. Recorded another hit on Wednesday and took 2 walks in the game. So he just continues to make an impact. His hit that he recorded was in the first inning, a double that he was actually able to stretch out because it was a slow roller. So I wasn't sure if it was going to be able to go deep enough for him to make it a double, but nope, it's Jarren Duran. So you have to bet that more often than not, he's not going to stay at first base and he's going to be able to stretch it into a double. So big storyline of this series was just Jarren Duran and just how fantastic he's really been in all aspects of his game. Cedar Rafaela deserves a big shout out for his performance on Wednesday because not only did he make an impact offensively, but he also made multiple great plays defensively. And the thing about Rafaela is he's gotten a lot better at shortstop defensively because for a while the narrative was he's a lot better in the outfield. He can only really play in the outfield, but he's been making some very nice plays defensively, stretching himself at shortstop to throw the ball over to first base and putting himself in a very uncomfortable spot physically with having to turn his body. So he's been able to make an impact defensively in tons of ways. And also on Wednesday in the win for the Red Sox, he did go 2 for 4 on the day and drove in 2 runs. So offensively, he's been shining too. He's up to a 264 batting average on the season, 295 on base percentage, and 412 slugging. He is one of the top contributors for this Red Sox team, both offensively and defensively. And he's just been an enjoyable player to watch grow and develop this year. Masataka Yoshida also recorded 2 hits on the day, going 2 for 4 with 1 run scored. 297 average for him, 372 on base percentage, and 442 slugging. He was batting over 300 as of the other day, but on Tuesday night, he did go 0 for 5. So he had a struggle of a night at the plate, but that happens to everybody. Everybody's going to have games where they're just not seeing the ball well, but he got right back on track on Wednesday. So definitely another key contributor in the game. And David Hamilton smoked a home run to help contribute to the Red Sox offense. 256 average for him, 311 on base percentage, and 412 slugging. David Hamilton certainly has work to do offensively, but a moment like that is really cool for him, and it gave the Red Sox some extra insurance late in the game. So it was key that he hit that home run when he did, because with this Red Sox bullpen right now, you never know how much breathing room is actually enough. So I was happy for Hamilton, and I was happy he was able to tack on some extra insurance there for the Red Sox. But perhaps the biggest standout of the game that should be talked about is Cooper Criswell. He went into this game and started it and went 4.2 innings, giving up 4 hits and 1 earned run with 4 strikeouts. It's hard to ask for much more from him, especially compared to his last outing when he struggled significantly and gave up 6 earned runs over 3.1 innings pitched, 9 hits, 4 walks, and only 1 strikeout. That was against the Orioles last weekend when the Red Sox won a crazy 12-10 game. He did not have it, but somehow still got the win in the game, which was crazy. But this was a really nice bounce back outing for him. And the biggest thing I've noticed between the 2 outings is he started Wednesday's game. He did not start the game last weekend against the Orioles. Brennan Bernardino pitched 0.2 innings, and then Zach Kelly pitched 0.1. And then they had Criswell come in and pitch in relief after that. So they went with the opener mentality, had a couple guys go in there, get some throws in, and then Criswell took over. But the fact of the matter is he has looked a lot better this year when he started than when he has relieved. He is at a 4.41 ERA on the season right now. His starter ERA has actually been the second best on the team behind Tanner Houck. Only Houck has a better earned run average starting games for the Red Sox this year than Criswell does. And it's been remarkable, truly, to see him. He just looks a lot more at ease when he's starting, and he looks like he's a lot more in his groove and is more comfortable throwing more pitches. So in the game on Wednesday, when he threw 80 pitches with 43 of them being strikes, he generated 6 swings and misses over those 4.2 innings. So he was getting guys to get fooled and strike out. And the biggest thing was that he restored a slider that he had thrown last season but hadn't thrown it yet this year. So it was really nice to see him incorporate that into his arsenal for the game. And I'm wondering if that is a key for him, because in times that we have seen him struggle, he hasn't implemented it, and he also hasn't implemented it in other times he started this season, even when he has pitched well. And I'm wondering if that's something he unlocked that's going to be the key to him being successful moving forward out of this Red Sox rotation, which they should keep him in, because it's a pitch that worked really well for him. And I'm hoping he realized that, and he realizes that he should keep it around, because maybe he wanted to change things up a little bit and say, oh, let's see what happens if I incorporate this pitch a little bit more. So that's exactly what he did to generate all those swings and misses that he did. Certainly did his job. 2 times through the order, gave up 1 run on 4 hits, 7 ground ball outs, and only 2 fly ball outs. He was not generating a lot of hard contact, which is a super good sign moving forward. But in terms of his pitch arsenal for the season, he has a sweeper, sinker, changeup, cutter, and slider, all of which he has used before. But the slider is now making a comeback for him. So he definitely has a good pitch arsenal in terms of the variation in the pitches that he throws. So I'm looking for him to continue to utilize that fastball and slider and changeup more regularly and just not be afraid to mix up those pitches more evenly and adding that slider in to that arsenal more regularly, like I just listed. So I think there's a lot of potential here for Criswell, but when they've tried to put him in the bullpen, he hasn't found as much success. More of his dominant numbers this season come from when he has been starting. So to me, it feels like he belongs in the rotation. And he is just a guy who has been in multiple positions for the Red Sox this year. He's bounced between AAA, the bullpen, the rotation, and he has not once complained about where the Red Sox wanted to put him. He's just taken everything in stride and done the job that the Red Sox wanted him to do. And that's a great person you want to have on your team, is somebody who's flexible with that and is willing to take on whatever task is needed to help the team get better. So good outing overall for Criswell. Would I have liked to see him stretch out a little bit and maybe have a chance to finish the fifth inning? Sure. But Zach Kelly did come in and get out of it. So the Red Sox did what they should have done in terms of matchups, but would have been cool to try to see him finish the inning, although Alex Cora, I know, didn't want to take any chances. So hopefully this means more positive energy for Criswell moving forward against a tough Astros lineup that the Red Sox have had struggles with all season long. They needed a start like the one they had from Criswell. So I'm very happy for him. I think he really deserves everything coming his way in terms of being that fifth guy out of the rotation moving forward, because he just is a lot more comfortable out there and it reflects in the way that he pitches. So Criswell for the rotation, I can't emphasize that enough, how much he deserves to be there. Has Luis Garcia arrived? Speaking of Red Sox relievers, coming up, I'm going to be going over that. Okay, I'll admit it. I don't love working out, and the motivation to go to the gym isn't always there. That's why I use TonaI. If you're anything like me and you thrive on getting stuff done, including workouts, every minute counts. That's why you need TonaI, the smart strength training system that takes the guesswork out of working so you can make sure you're making the most of every rep. When life gets busy, fitting in a workout can be stressful. With TonaI, you can get efficient workouts personalized just for you and are available with the amount of time you have. Right now, TonaI is offering our listeners $200 off of your purchase with promo code LOCKEDONMLB. That's TonaI.com and use promo code LOCKEDONMLB for $200 off your purchase. That's TonaI.com, promo code LOCKEDONMLB for $200 off. I'm telling you, when you are short for time and need to still get a workout in, this is absolutely what you need. Thank you for making Locked On Red Sox your first listen today. For your second listen, enjoy the Locked On MLB podcast. Host Paul Sullivan, aka Sully, is here daily to provide national expertise with his trademark humor to help you get ready for the MLB playoffs here in the dog days of summer. Prepare for the Fall Classic with Sully, who has it all covered every single day on Locked On MLB. Available on YouTube or wherever you get your podcasts. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Sully is so funny, and he's certainly very passionate about baseball as a whole. So if you are looking to stay caught up on what's going on with all the other teams, he certainly has the show for you. Has Luis Garcia arrived? I mean, we have seen this man struggle and struggle and struggle out of the Red Sox bullpen, and he has not been able to find a lot of success with this Red Sox team since being traded here. And over the last couple days, people have now been starting to ask whether he has figured something out and that he is going to be able to move forward and be an asset out of this bullpen instead of a hindrance to the Red Sox success. He did come into the game when the Red Sox won on Tuesday night and threw 1 inning and didn't give up any runs. He gave up 1 hit and struck out 1. But overall, a very strong inning for him. He almost did blow the lead. He did give up a deep fly ball that I maybe thought was going to be out. But what matters is that didn't happen, and he was able to conserve the Red Sox 1-run lead at the time. And then he came into Wednesday's 4-1 win and pitched 1 inning again, struck out 2 in the inning, and looked very solid, completely in control of the strike zone, wasn't going all over the place with his pitches, and he was getting the job done and taking care of each batter as they came and not worrying too much about what was going to happen next. He's down to a 5.06 ERA on the season. If he could bump that under 5, that would be absolutely ideal. But 2 outings in a row that were very strong for Garcia. He actually had one of the fastest pitches thrown on the day. A 97.4 mile per hour sinker that he threw was literally the fastest pitch thrown in the game. And that's huge for somebody who has been struggling a lot with his velocity lately. And for him to be able to get at that mark is huge for this Red Sox team moving forward. He threw 10 pitches, 7 of them for strikes in Wednesday's game. He just went out there, didn't hesitate at all, and just took care of business. And that's exactly what we need to see from him. When you take a look at some of his stats, I mean, he gave up 5 earned runs in his last outing versus the Astros on August 11th when the Red Sox got swept and it was an absolute mess of a series. He came in to pitch and gave up 5 earned runs. He then had an outing on August 16th against the Orioles where he gave up 3 earned runs. And in a lot of his outings with the Red Sox so far since being traded here, he has given up at least 1 run in the majority of those outings. And what's tough is that earlier on in the season, he had a 3.71 ERA. Back on July 28th, that's what he was throwing at. And that ERA jumped all the way up to a 5.26 by August 16th because he just kept giving up runs. And that 5-run outing was a killer for him and bumped up his ERA significantly. But 2 straight outings in which he allowed no earned runs and looked in complete command the entire time he was out there. What does this mean? It could mean a couple different things. It could mean he just is comfortable pitching at Minute Maid Park. Sometimes pitchers are more comfortable in certain places than others. So that could be a factor in this entire situation, is that he just likes that ballpark and then he's going to come home and start to fall apart again. Hopefully he doesn't do that. It could mean that he unlocked something in his pitching routine that is working for him over the last couple days that he can carry over and use to contribute down the road. Because if that's the case, then he definitely needs to continue doing what he's doing. So that could be another reason why he has been so successful over these last couple days. Or he just has been in the zone lately and Andrew Bailey has locked into something that he could use more permanently. So it could be a mix of any of those things. Maybe something he discovered, maybe something Andrew Bailey discovered, or maybe just simply he hasn't discovered anything at all and he just had a couple good outings. We won't know until he pitches again for this Red Sox team, but he definitely looked very promising over the last couple days. And you know what I noticed about him that was a little bit different from his prior outings? He wasn't as hesitant to get the ball to the plate, kind of went out there knowing what he was going to throw and just looked confident the whole time and looked like he was ready to go. And we haven't gotten a ton of that from him this year. So I'm anxious to see if that's something that continues, because this bullpen right now is going to need Garcia to pitch well, especially because they gave up 4 prospects for him. Now, none of these prospects they gave up for him were top 15 Red Sox prospects, but if you give up 4 prospects for a guy at the trade deadline, that's a lot of capital, and that is you putting a lot into one pitcher and investing in somebody who you truly feel like you can get something out of and believe in down the stretch. Obviously, they've seen something in Garcia by trading for him that they really liked, and it's something that they seemingly have been waiting to still see him unlock. And maybe this is it. Maybe he needs to just continue to vary his pitches a little bit more, get to the plate quicker, and go out there throwing with confidence, because we saw a Luis Garcia that we very much have not seen before in this game against Houston. And what was exciting about it is that it did happen on 2 consecutive days. So this is the most consistent we've seen from him since getting here. So the question now is, has he arrived? I'd like to think yes. I definitely noticed something different about him just in his pace and his confidence level. So hopefully that means he is back, because this bullpen absolutely needs it. Why? Coming up, I'm going to tell you. Get supplies from the site that's made for the skilled trades, SupplyHouse.com. SupplyHouse.com is the reliable way to order plumbing, HVAC, and electrical products online. Their easy-to-use website is packed with helpful resources and the latest product info to help you get the job done right. Shop a complete inventory of over 200,000 parts from over 400 top brands and get your order delivered right to your door with fast shipping from coast to coast. Need help with an order? Get expert support and industry-leading service from the friendliest folks in the business, and talk to a real person every time. Pros in the skilled trades can get a competitive edge by joining SupplyHouse.com's free Trademaster program. Every Trademaster gets access to a dedicated phone line, free shipping, and discounts on every order. Join the thousands of trade pros already benefiting from their free membership at SupplyHouse.com/T-M and order plumbing, HVAC, and electrical supplies from anywhere with just a few clicks at SupplyHouse.com. It's never a bad thing to be stocked up on electrical supplies, so Supply House is the place for you. If you're ever looking to score last-minute tickets for games for very good deals, Game Time is the place for you. I actually just used it the other night to purchase tickets to Red Sox Mets at Citi Field in a couple of weeks, which, by the way, I haven't been to Citi Field before, so I'm very excited. This will be my first experience there. And I use Game Time because their ticket prices are fantastic. They make sure you get a good view from your seat so that you know that you're not buying tickets with an obstructed view. And compared to other ticketing vendors, they are always cheaper, and they'll always make sure that you're not missing out on any great deals. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off. Download Game Time today. Last minute tickets, lowest price guaranteed. Game Time certainly will guarantee you the absolute lowest prices. I am telling you, I've used it so many times for tickets, so make sure you do that today as well. While Luis Garcia has had a couple nice outings in a row for the Boston Red Sox, it's obviously a short sample size, so it's too hard to know for sure whether he is definitely fully back or not, if he is somebody who is able to now get on track, if he unlocked something that he realized he could have been doing more of that he wasn't doing, or is this just a fluke and he had a couple days where he just pitched well. We will know soon enough, but the bullpen overall had a very solid 48 hours for Boston. When the Red Sox won 6-5 on Tuesday night, 5 earned runs were charged to Nick Pivetta. Every run that the Astros scored was given up by him. Then 4 relievers came into the game. Greg Weiser pitched an inning, Zach Kelly pitched an inning, Luis Garcia pitched an inning like we talked about, and Kenley Jansen pitched an inning for the close. And all 4 of them, zeros across the board. No earned runs for anybody, and it allowed the Red Sox to conserve that 1-run lead that they had been holding on to by a thread, and the bullpen came through and prevented the Astros from scoring that tying or even go-ahead run. And then on Wednesday, when the Red Sox won 4-1 after Cooper Criswell finished his 4 2/3, Zach Kelly relieved him and pitched 0.1 innings, gave up no runs, and then Josh Winkowski, Greg Weisser, Brennan Bernardino, Luis Garcia, and Chris Martin all came into the game. And again, they all put up zeros across the board. Josh Winkowski, somebody who's been hit or miss this year, but this was a hit for him. Greg Weisser recently got called back up from AAA and has looked good so far in his last couple days being back. Although I will say he did give up a couple base runners, and it was a little bit scary because I wasn't sure if he was going to be able to get out of it, but he did get through the inning, which was good. And then Weissert came in and did give up a couple of hits, which was not ideal. And I for sure thought that the Astros were going to score at least 1 run in that time, but they did not, thanks to Brennan Bernardino, who was able to come in and get the inning shut without the Red Sox giving up a run. So that was tremendous work by him. And Bernardino has come into those situations in the past. Big situation for him here with the bases loaded and Yordan Alvarez at the plate. And Alex Cora pulled Weisser because he did not want him to face Alvarez, which I quite frankly do not blame him for. He made the right choice. Obviously, Bernardino has gotten out of situations before where he's been in jams like that, or he's come into games with the bases loaded and has had to get out of it, and he's done it. So Bernardino made sense for the matchup purposes because you didn't want to risk Alvarez just crushing one out of the ballpark for a grand slam. And then Garcia and Martin both put up zeros. So collectively, the Red Sox bullpen in the 2 games that this team won against the Astros were the biggest storyline. They were the biggest reason behind the Red Sox getting those 2 wins. And it's crazy to think about and say that because you would never have thought that the pen would be the best part of this Red Sox team. But over these last couple days, not giving up any runs as a bullpen as a whole is massive for a team whose bullpen has been struggling. Now, the biggest key here is going to be they have to stay locked in like that, because I, again, don't trust that wasn't just a fluke and that they're not going to go back out there tomorrow and just completely fall apart and give up runs again. I need to see them consistently string together more good outings and be able to put up zeros more and more, because the Red Sox, from the standpoint of their starters and their offense, have been miles ahead of where the bullpen is at right now. When you look at somebody like Brennan Bernardino, who has had his struggles this year, but for him to come in despite the struggles and get out of a bases loaded jam for the Red Sox, it's huge and definitely changes the mentality of how people look at Brennan Bernardino. For somebody like Zach Kelly to come in and put up a zero, or Josh Winkowski that you don't really know what you're getting on a day-to-day basis, for all of those guys to come in there and put up zeros consistently is huge. Chris Martin has been consistent all year. Was not surprised that he was able to put up zeros across the board besides 1 hit when he came in to pitch the 9th inning. He's one of the most reliable pitchers on this team, and I expect that to stay that way. But overall, this Red Sox pitching staff has to step up in the big moments, and the bullpen in particular needs to be better. So big shout out to them for their performance collectively in the last 2 games of this series, because ultimately they helped lead the Red Sox to a win, especially behind Cooper Criswell, who the Red Sox had thrown back into the rotation when James Paxton got injured and weren't exactly sure how that was going to go for him, if he was going to be able to contribute a lot, if he was going to struggle early on back in the rotation. But it seems like he is meant to be in the rotation, and he was able to slot back in naturally when it came to that. So lots of things that the Red Sox have to make sure they stay consistent on. If they are consistent, they can make the playoffs. As long as the Twins and the Royals start losing some games. The Twins, I trust more to lose games because they haven't been playing as well lately. But the Royals, who have been playing very good baseball, need to start losing some games so that the Red Sox can slide their way in there. But if they can get all of these pitchers to hone in on their strengths and be able to pitch with effectiveness moving forward, they can earn a playoff spot. I think bringing Weiser back up might have proved to be a good decision for the bullpen as a whole, because there are certain places that Cora can slot him into that makes sense. And it allows for other guys in the pen to rest if they've been used a lot, because they can throw him into a slot to pitch the 5th or 6th inning when a starter comes out, and Zach Kelly or Brendan Bernardino or somebody else who has been in this bullpen more consistently can get some rest, like a Luis Garcia or Lucas Sims type of player. So having Weiser back up allows not only a shakeup of a sort in the bullpen, but it also allows for more rest for guys who are sitting here feeling fatigued. So overall, a very good series for Boston, and one that definitely had to happen. They do have a series against the Diamondbacks coming up this weekend, the reigning National League champions, but the schedule does get easier for the Red Sox a little bit after that. The division opponents are always tough, and they have a lot of interdivisional matchups coming up down the stretch here. But overall, good series for Boston, taking 2 of 3 from a tough Astros team. And we are now looking to see if they can carry that same momentum into this weekend series, because the Diamondbacks can certainly test this bullpen. And we might be sitting here right now saying the bullpen may be back on track, but you really don't know until they play more games. Certainly have been promising over these last couple days, but hopefully they can stay that way, because that will be a huge key for Boston moving forward. Moral of the story from today's show, biggest takeaway, the pitching is showing promise. The pitching is trending in the right direction. Hopefully they can get guys back healthy, like Liam Hendricks and Justin Slayton, to slide even more talent into that bullpen. But it's trending in the right direction, and we can just hope that this performance of the last couple of days just continues for these relievers as a whole. As I always say, though, keep the faith, go Red Sox, and I will catch you on the flip side.